Stream! I'm just finding a scroll to... Okay, that's the last scroll there, so we'll have to buy some more scrolls over there real quick. But yeah, we're gonna be just gathering money again today because I might need it for some more stream. I literally don't have any more space to put stuff, so bank expansion it is. So yeah. Also apparently going into a charity shop. It's a shop that like they sell stuff that's like donated and then the extra money is sent to charity. The Red Cross is like Røde Kors is what it's called in Denmark. Røde Kors would basically be like red. Cross would technically be like a crucifix. It's the Chris. What's it? It's a red plus sign basically. Like that's how it looks. Don't know what the correct word would be to describe it. They gather money to people in need. And also send stuff, if I remember right, they also send some stuff to like countries in need and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of terms and they all have similar names, so I'm not sure if what I'm saying is right, but like... Get out the water. Anyways, I am so I went in there to find a dress to wear for something I was gonna be doing this weekend, and I came out of there with 3 dresses, a skirt, a denim jacket, a belt, a pair of sandals, and apparently now I'm volunteering to like model some of their clothing so they can take some photos and put it on Facebook. I mean, sure, I'll go. I love flattery. I love flattery, and I will certainly be flattered there. At the same time, I have learned through time to be suspicious of flattery. Just like, you're flattering me? Oh, hello. Oh, it's a new time. It's first time chatter. Hello. Like, just like, I went down there to find one dress. I ended up going out of there 3 dresses, skirt, jacket, and volunteer work. In the form of helping them get to sell more of the clothing. Like, great. I'm going to have to learn how to restrain myself because the clothing that is in that shop is so inexpensive. And there's so much pretty stuff, so it's like, but it's pretty and it's not expensive. Like I will have to actively restrain myself from buying stuff. Because normally you can be like, oh, it's like, oh, it's expensive, you shouldn't buy it. Like you can reason with your brain like, oh, it's too expensive, you shouldn't buy it. What do you do when it isn't expensive? When quite the contrary. It's 200 Danish crowns. Like I used under 200 like Danish crowns, and I have multiple outfits. I don't know what the current ratio of Danish crowns to American dollars are, but I know at some point it was like 7 Danish crowns was the equivalent of like $1. So it's like, is the fly something there? Yeah. Anyways, what else is there to talk about? Let limited how many things happen for me other than like what's happening in school at the time, or that one time a year I leave my house for other than school. The grandparents came up over earlier today, but nothing really happened. They were just nearby, so yeah. Alright, I've realized that my brain might be automatically sexist towards anybody if I speak to them in my native language. Because my brain literally only connects guys speaking in Danish to me, as in guys who used to bully me, which I don't really feel comfortable around. My brain is automatically sexist, and I can't stop it. It's fucking great. Like why? Like, it's going so well. And literally, I can't find any other reason than the fact that the person was speaking in my language instead of in another language. It's like, oh, somebody speaks to me in any other language? That's fine. Guy speaks to me in my language, my brain's like, that is the first time in forever my brain has been like, don't like, towards a guy I don't really know well, where it's just like somebody new. So it's just kind of like, what the fuck is going on in my brain right now? No, go block! Give me my own block. But it's like my brain apparently is just automatically doing that. It's like, I didn't realize this. Because I don't socialize often with people in like real life. I do it online, which often ends up being English speaking or another language that isn't Danish, so we just end up speaking English. I didn't realize my brain was using that as a comfort. I mean, I know I prefer English, and I know I feel safer speaking English, but like, I didn't know my brain actually felt fear if I speak to a guy in English. Because I realized, like, now I'm thinking back to it. Last couple of times I've spoken to a guy in Danish, the only thing my brain has been thinking in the meantime is get the fuck out of there. It's like, do I have to train my brain to... My brain, literally the only reference it has to talking to like guys in Danish is being bullied. So it's just like my brain just like going into self-defense mode. Either that or it's the voice level guys. Some guys use my brain is just immediately like, not comfortable. Not comfortable. I need to figure out why. So speaking to a guy earlier who has a mutual friend with me, and I don't want to like have to leave the conversation when he joins, or hope that he just doesn't join the conversation if I'm talking with the one that's also his friend. So it's like hallelujah, I need to find a solution for this. I don't want to spend time finding a solution for it, but I need to. Swimming around, gathering shit for money. And me slowly over years realizing that being bullied as a kid had more emotional damage on me than I could ever have known. At this point, I should really see a therapist. But I keep pushing it out. And I really should stop pushing it out, because for right now, seeing a therapist would be free for me. Because I'm of a specific age and then works, it's like I should. But at the same time, that takes work, and it takes actually admitting, like right now, my rambly part of my brain has admitted that I have a problem. Part of my brain has not accepted it yet, and it will not accept it, and it will not accept a therapist for it. So, hallelujah. So instead, the rest of my brain has resorted to the only other option it has for mental health. Literally just become your own therapist. Like any toxic behavior I have, I am tracking it down, and I'm finding the cause, which apparently always is getting bullied as a kid. You'd think that's the only thing that ever happened to me, considering it's the only thing that really seemed to affect me later on. So like, if I also explain why just the idea of dating a Danish guy is actually kind of repulsive to me. My brain is that I don't have a lot of good experience with guys in real life. Guys are a lot more nice over the computer. A lot more tolerable. I feel a lot less like I'm gonna get yelled at over the computer. Or maybe that's just because I can like make a fake amount of confidence when it's over the computer. Might also be it. I am more comfortable over the computer than in real life. I mean, I will ramble like this in real life if you give me the opportunity to, but not in the same way. Like in real life, I'll be hyper focused on is there anybody nearby. But like, I do that too when somebody else is like in the Discord call with me or something. Which is why I should not talk with people while streaming, because I'm like, okay, make sure to give them space. Okay, Philip is an exception, but Philip has his own problem of, for God's sake, I'm never gonna be monetized with him being like this. I'm gonna get banned before I get ever monetized, because let's be honest, that is a bit too way of talking for streams. I didn't get enough sleep yesterday, and I blame... I can't believe I'm about to say this. I blame Pride and Prejudice, because I have found like a fanfic book where it just continues what happens like afterwards. Like an idea of like what could happen afterwards. And it's written using old English vocabulary. And it is prim and proper, and it's using the correct manners. And there's no over-sexualization. Yes! Let's be honest, all time Regency England, you could not even see a woman's ankle without it being scandalized. Like, there are so different times, and when people write it as if it's the same time, it just gives me a headache. Like, when people make, like, something that's supposed to be Regency, and they're like, and now they kiss, and it's like, they're not married. That is unacceptable. He should not even be alone with her. What is the supervision? Why is nobody keeping an eye on her? This is improper. What about the rumors that was spread about her because she weren't under the constant watchful eye of some kind of non-bachelor? Like, either a married woman or a family member, like a male family member, keeping an eye on her at all times. If she's outside of the house. It's like, keep it appropriate. And like keep it appropriate for the time. Like back then, like, oh, this woman has fallen. Well, thank God she's not unconscious because we need to ask her permission to see her ankle so we can check if it's fucking broken. It's like, excuse me? Like nowadays, you ain't hiding shit. If I have suspicion that it may actually be in a serious condition of being hurt, we are checking that shit and we're getting you to the hospital. But like back then, even to see these ankle, even with a sock on, like even like fully, like it still had a fabric over, like just to remove the shoe, still socks on. Nothing else have come off. Just to check if a foot is broken or something. Like, may I? Like, may I? Like, literally him just be like, please, may I? I can't do it otherwise. I don't want to be my good character. Can I just check if it's broken? Like, just the urgency of, oh no, she fell. Let's run over and check if she's okay. Okay, now we have to ask if to even see her. It's like, the times were different back then. And I love it when when a fanfic takes the time to know at least some. Okay, like of course I'm a bit like, but they would, anyways. Like some of the parts is like, okay, it makes sense. Maybe they don't know how in the VDC area married couple having a grand estate would act. Like that's fine. It's fine. Doesn't matter anyways. It's just me being a nerd. But like, any kind of like physical thoughts between anything that wasn't very like, how improper that would be. Like even being alone in a room with somebody you weren't with. Unless like everybody would be like, what a scandal. Like who even knows what happened in there? There were no there's nobody to say nothing happened to that. Like that's how it would work back then. It's like it wouldn't. Like, so many families like, oh, this is the Regency area. No, it's not. It's not the Regency area. You wouldn't be allowed alone with him for half a second if it were. It could ruin her reputation, and then she's not getting married in a time where women couldn't work. Well, unless she has a big dowry. Her life after that would have been completely up to the generosity of her family members. Or finding somebody who really just doesn't care for her. Oh, that's also another thing with like Reed and Sarah. Like, if a man and woman were about to get married and the man squandered all his money, the woman was supposed to be like, oh, I still love you. And it's like, is she supposed to accept marrying him? In a time where she can't work, and that's gonna ruin the rest of her life. And they've known each other for not very long anyway, so that there isn't really that much of a connection. Most likely. They moved pretty fast back then. Like, he is leaving next week to go to the next area to, like, go hunting with his friends. Okay, he has a week to, like, propose marriage to ensure that she won't be taken while he's gone. It's like, while he's gone, there is more than enough chance that she's given another marriage offer. like in a time where it's a time where women can't work, so it's kind of like marrying somebody with a decent amount of money was kind of important. Like nowadays, we can work, we can get help. If like even like we live better than most of like a common person. Let's say a common person in Denmark. But we live better than most like high level people did back then. Like in my house, we have heated floor in the bathroom. We don't have a bathtub though, and I still hate that. We have 2 showers, and I don't care for showers. I want a bathtub. I want to just sit in the bathtub and contemplate life for hours without using all the hot water. I just want to sit in the water for hours without using all the hot water. Is that too much to ask for? Like when I was younger, I could take a bath back then because we have a little like bathtub for kids. Just like a meter in length. I could squish into it until I was like 10, and then it's like okay, I can't squish into it anymore. Like currently, my hips are too hard now. I ain't even sitting down in it. Like not to mention after having my legs in it too. And then if I go long enough back, I remember when I was small enough that like my knees only had to be like partially above the water. It was so nice. I love being in a bathtub. Best thing ever. Like literally, if we had any time of hotel and they have a bathtub, I'm just like, there's a bathtub. Like, oh my god, there's a bathtub. And then I never end up using the bathtub. Or the bath, because it's usually for such a short time that I don't really need it, because like also like, oh we're there for a short time, let's remember to use the let's remember to go to the pool in the area, which has its own like shower area to like make sure that you're like clean before you go into the water, because we don't want the water dirty. Like just I miss like actual baths. Like it's just like as a kid, like it's like the smaller of a kid you can, the more chances you have to take a bath. Like for goddamn sake, when you were like a little baby, you could fit into the like at that point, the sink was the shower. So unfair. I still don't know why there's a photo of... I don't remember which of my siblings, if it was me or one of my siblings, in my grandmother's, like, her sink. Like, Grandma, you have a shower. Not a shower, you have a bath. You had at the time, you don't have any more. Like, why? I mean, yeah, the bathroom wasn't that great back then. It's good that it's been upgraded, but like the shower instead of the bath. I just feel strongly about actually getting to farm. Like I just want to take a long bath. Sit in the water, contemplating life. Contemplating whether anything's even worth. Like, I hate, like, the knowledge that everything's temporary. Like, I wish I was back in the Weakness area where I wouldn't have known. Especially because like some people might think like, oh, but your fast-paced nature and your focus shifting all the time would be bad. And it's like, no, it wouldn't. I would be able to get started on so many different accomplishments. Like, oh yeah, I'm not a master at any of them, but I can do some sewing, I can do some painting, I can sew, like in real life, what I can do. I can sew. Do I absolutely hate it? Yes, it takes too long. I can sew, I can embroider, because like that's not too far from each other, it's just, again, it takes longer. That takes even longer than sewing, so fuck no, I don't want to do it. But I can if I had to. Like if I had to, I could. I can play the guitar. I can play the drums. I can play the piano. I know how to style clothing, which is very important apparently for back then. You need to look proper so you can fit in with your rank. Like, I have a lot of different accomplishments. Like sewing, all those kind of things. I love dancing if somebody would just fucking teach me. Which back in that time I would have been taught. And singing would have been taught and encouraged at a much younger age. Which means at this point my voice might actually sound decent. Instead of whatever is happening right now of me trying to figure out how singing works, which is not easy. It is a very, very muddled and weird thing to try and understand. Let's see. I'm so tired. Again, I blame Pride and Prejudice because it's too good. Again, I'm at a point where it's like, it doesn't even matter if it's actually have to do with it. I just want to read. Like, I can, it's given me an opportunity to just say Pride and Prejudice and then look for fanfic. Because they're not going to be exactly like Pride and Prejudice. But they're still going to look Renaissance as fuck. Like, give it to me. Like, look at them! While at the same time, Elizabeth isn't a passive woman. She acts much more aggressively than passively. You don't either get this feeling of, well, she's so passive, of course she's gonna do that. Like, instead she's just like, you get the I get the feeling about it. Because she's not passive as fuck. So you have some of the modern and like the things that like modern society imbues in us. With like, you're supposed to be confident and stuff. Although, literally, since I've tried to figure out how Regency acts and stuff, Mrs. Bennet is the biggest disappointment to women that there is. Stop nagging your husband, lady. It's improper. And it's annoying to everybody who watches it as well. Stop. Nobody likes it. And he certainly doesn't either. Like, look at him. He is just like, oh, leave me alone. Right. Mr. Bennet. Worst father. Mrs. Bennet. Worst mother. And if we then go to the two youngest sisters. Would you pull yourself together? And stop embarrassing your family? This is not a time where you can act like this. Like nowadays, I won't really stand anyway because like, it's fine. Like back then. Acting like that is actually hurting their sisters. Like that is gonna prevent their sisters from ever being able to get married. Because who would want to associate with such silly girls? To marry siblings of such silly girls. Like, no. Like... Oh yeah, she ran away with like a stranger. Like... It's like... You are literally... Because you are a fallen woman. Like, you're just thinking that you might be a fallen woman now. Back then, everybody, even her, although she was young, would have known that the sibling, like the sister of a fallen woman, would have be seen as just as much as fallen as her. It's just like, no, not worth marrying. If it wasn't because Bingley doesn't give a shit, like, Bingley doesn't give a shit, so maybe one of them would have been fine. But like, if it weren't for like the fact that the two older sisters, of course, they're in the story, so they already have love interests, and it's great, and it's romantic. If it weren't for Elizabeth's love interest, well, the family would have been fucking screwed. Now wouldn't it? None of the daughters have been able to marry, and they don't have a single son to take care of them. And if they had a son, they wouldn't worry about, like, losing their house either when the father died. The house was entailed in the male line. If they have had a son, it would have gone to their son. And, like, the entail on the house, Mr. Bennet was the one who put it there. Probably together with his father. Like, the father was like, okay, I've lived in this house so long, and I don't have the power over the house. Okay, now my son is old enough that we can break the entail and get control back over the house. But instead, the father, most likely, like, let's be honest, this is what actually happened, went to his son and was like, you are signing this. Like, we are renewing the entail on the house, and you won't lose your pocket money until I die. Like that, like back then, eldest sons would have relied very much on the fathers in the household, like their allowance, because they don't get anything until the father died. So they would just rely on an allowance, even like an adult man back then. If it was the oldest son of a household of genteel status, they were relying on the father's money. So like the father and the eldest son, when the eldest son became of legal age, would break the entail on the house and make a new one that would establish for the next couple generations that this can, like, no heir of the house may do anything that can hurt the house value. Basically ensuring that no future sons of the family can gamble away the family fortune. Very practical minded. Entails couldn't last forever because, well, once they could, and then people decided, well, I want actually to have power over the stuff that I own. So, nope, none more. Not anymore. No more entails lasting forever. But he had, like, Mr. Bennet put that into his house most likely in the idea of, he'll have a son anyway, so it's fine. Him and his son will just break the entail on the house and then renew it later. Yeah, they didn't end up having. He had a lot of daughters though. But the entail on their house was entailed to the male line. So and so many generations down shall this house be entailed. Blah 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 blah. Like if you look at like Darcy's aunt. Like she's like, okay, the house isn't like my daughter's not the house, like the house might be actually being like entailed, but that doesn't matter if the house is entailed through male or female line. So like males would still be preferred, but if no male heir is there, then it can go to an heiress. It would also state whether the parents can like decide that like you can't inherit this house. But it's just like maybe the parents can be like, you're a disappointment to the household, so you're not inheriting the house. Or in some cases the parents just have to sit there and suck it up because they don't have the power to do that. The house is entailed in a way where they cannot disinherit their children. Now they have to deal with it. Maybe a common way too. Depends. Probably doesn't seem as common because being able to disinherit a dishonorable and a child that would definitely not be of well stand for it would like doesn't seem right. I also think like the fathers in like of the when these entails are broken, they could just be like, I'll wait. Like they could just not do it and let it just end on its own after their death. But instead they're breaking it together with their son and writing a new one up immediately after, while still having power over their sons through their wallets. Like some sons of course like, I will not stand for this. He signed a contract. I guess he signed the fucking contract. Like so long he stood up and like, I will not stand for this. Now he's in debt. He's in debt, he's in serious trouble, and he caved. He caved and signed the entail. He can't live without daddy's money. Basically. That was the equivalent back then. Like they elder sons without the father's money. Nah. Not really much. Kind of fun to think about. Like you would think like the eldest, oh they must be so talented and stuff because like, oh they've had like more time to live, or like, oh they were like focused on more because they were the heir. Nah. The oldest be sitting on their butt whining. Except for if it's females, because then, well, you ain't getting shit handed to you. Go get some accomplishments so you can marry a good man and have a decent life. Yes, they ain't giving you shit other than your dowry. No, it's not the dowry. Other than your fortune. Is it a fortune? Is dowry and fortune the same thing, or is dowry the one that the husband would give to his wife on a consistent basis? Like husbands would give their wives money on a consistent basis to go spend on clothing or small things she wanted to buy herself, or like small tips she wanted to give to a servant, like small amount of money she wanted to give to servants for like doing well. Like, oh, she wanted to go buy some more leather paper. Like a specific, like, beautiful one. Like, oh, this is so pretty. We have all the other ones at home, but like, I really want to use this one to write to, like, a family member. Like that kind of stuff. To avoid the wife having to go ask the husband all the time. Both so she wouldn't have to nag him for money, but also so she didn't have to crawl in, like, can I please have money? Like to avoid her having to humble herself in front of her husband and ask for money all the time, which would be degrading for her, and so that he wouldn't be constantly disturbed by her asking that. So like, why would he want to spend time talking with her about that? That's not really that interesting. if they're spending time, like just the amount of time they have that they can spend together in the day, that they aren't like doing other stuff like taking care of the family from like the household. I mean, like not really your own kids, but like more of like, okay, does all the service look good? They look good. Okay, next thing. Ah, no! Derby. Fuck off. Fuck off. I hate the fact that you can throw those. I love old time stuff. But also just like, the only thing we have to prove that it was Mr. Bennett who entailed the house is Mrs. Bennett being like who would entail the house, like, to take it away from, like, the doors? Why should he inherit it? Like, he is just as suited as anybody else. Like, anybody else is as suited as him. It's like, he's insinuating that, like, why would somebody do that against their own daughters? Like, against their own daughters, so it was your husband, then. Or has something been lost in translation again? There. Now over here to gather all the valuables. And then we're blocked. I was like an hour left of streaming and I'm just tired because I didn't get sleep. The funny was like, oh, what time for anything so you're eating? Otherwise, like, just let me be. I don't want to talk about what horror I have found. The internet is a dark, dark place. And I'm fearful. I wondered why it said lemon once, and I learned why it said lemon. Or maybe it was, I don't remember if it was like it was written down that it said lemon, or if it was a lemon's like emoji. I just remember that like I found out what that meant. I was very curious about what's going on until I realized, and then I was very much like, okay. I'm not prepared for this. Too much. Not comfortable. But okay, be honest, everybody. Which Crown and Princess character would you like marry? Want to marry the most? Like, I mean, for me it would be mostly Darcy. Not even just because like, ah, he's your favorite, no, but like, you leave me the fuck alone if I need to. Like, just leave me the fuck alone. And then we'll talk. Like, I'll go talk to you when I have energy. You have work to do most of the time, so I don't have to worry about it. Like, if him and Elizabeth didn't spend time together for, like, let's say they, like, had an entire week of not talking, like, they're probably busy. Like, her being the mistress of the house. But, like, that would be a very busy week, because normally they'd eat, in a family like that, they would eat breakfast together. Like, they'd meet for the meals. And then they would go do their own thing. Like, in the meals, they would talk about, like, okay, I have to do this today, I have to do this today. And then they'd, like, the mother would spend, like, an hour in the evening with the kids. That's, like, a family time thing. And sometimes if the husband in the house also had, like, if he had finished whatever work he had done today, then he would also join in listening to the kids, showing like, oh look, I learned this new song. I'm learning this new song on the piano. Or something like that. Like what did our governors teach them? Because let's be honest, Elizabeth Darcy, which is what she becomes after being Bennet, but now she's Elizabeth Darcy technically. I also have to remember that Mr. Darcy is Fitzwilliam Darcy. I guess his first name is Fitzwilliam. And his last name is Darcy. But they would mostly address people by their last name. So when you think Darcy, you probably think... Like, you probably don't think Fitzwilliam. You probably just think Darcy. Mr. Darcy. Like, if you looked from Georgiana's perspective, for example, for her, she would most likely not know her brother by, like, Georgiana wouldn't know him by Darcy. She would know him by Fitzwilliam. But like, she's a Darcy too. People would probably refer to her as Darcy too. She would be referred to with the prefix that belongs to an oldest daughter, if I remember right. She's the oldest daughter that was in the household before. Her father's not dead. So... Mrs.? Is that the right one? Like, or is it Miss? One of them is for like younger unmarried woman, one is for married woman. Like, an interesting thing for governesses actually, although they were unmarried women who of high social status who doesn't have the money now to like stay genteel like they had to work now, a governess would be afforded the title of like their last name and stuff, and they would be called as if they were a married woman, which would be a higher title than they should have, but they get to be called by it because there's more respect to them from the family, because, well, these people were genteel at the time too. She was a genteel person at the time too, so yeah, she's gonna be respected. Before anybody's like, why are you saying she? She could be, no, it's a she. Governess, that is the female scene. Even most female, like, boarding schools like that, that's the governess's scene. Like, if governess has enough money to get a couple buildings together to do it, mostly governesses would work together. Although if you were a governess of a rich household, you probably wouldn't worry too much. A rich household, especially who is old money. New money, no thanks. Working as a governess for new money. Fucking terrible. But working for old money, who has for generations been shaped by governesses. Like, old money for generations has held governors, they know how to deal with them, they don't feel threatened by them. Like, why feel threatened by governors? They're not of higher rank. And they're lower social rank now that they're governors. But if you were a governess in a old money house, you would probably have like a little sitting, like if it was a really big house, you could have like your own little sitting room maybe. Where you could have some friends over, which was a huge thing for a governess. Like if you could have friends over as a governess, you've made it as a governess. Like that is the peak of governesses. It's the ones who actually are afforded the space to have friends over. But it's like governors is also like in this weird limbo place. Because they're not genteel anymore, they're working. But they're also considered genteel. And the genteel class respects them as if they were genteel, because like, well, you were raised genteel, you are a genteel woman. Just because your circumstances are different right now, they'll respect you. That kind of stuff. Which I find interesting because like I am like many people might be like, oh, it was all about money back then. No, it wasn't. It was all about who you knew and what your blood status was. Like, are you like, is your bloodline old money or are they new money? New money, that comes from trade. Your family was recently in trade. The lowest of lows. Absolutely terrible. Like, okay, apparently being a, like, that would be like a salesman nowadays. Like, not even a salesman, like, Elon Musk wouldn't be considered, like, trading that way. He would be, he's on trade in a big scale, so he wouldn't be looked down for it. But, like, who's a good example? Like a smaller business. Like, imagine like they're earning a very good amount maybe. And like everything is fine. But they're trading to get it. All the genteel people would be rolling their eyes, making gag sounds. It's like, ugh! They're working! Who would work? Actually, like, those, seriously. Like, for a genteel person, you have your big estate, which earns your money, or maybe your money is in a bank, like earns your interest. Then you would, like, the work you do would be managing your estate. And socializing with the upper class, trying to ensure that you don't go any down. Preferably only go up in class. That's also why, like, if Pride and Prejudice was real, Elizabeth and Darcy marrying would be kind of scandalous. But at the same time, not really. Because, like, they're married for love, and the time would love that. And, like, they're both genteel class. The time also loves that. She is very poor compared to him. Like, he is the grandson of an earl. Through a female line, sadly, so he does not have a title. Sad. We could have had a Lord Darcy instead, but no, it's just Mr. Darcy. But he could probably get a Lord title if he wanted. You just have to chase it. You know, bribe some people in, like, power and stuff. That's what they would do back then, like, work through like that, and then, like, show extreme loyalty to the crown. It's like, it's Mr. Darcy, it's not Sir. It's also a thing. Like Sir and Mr. and Miss and Mrs. And like all these sorts of things like might to us seem like it's a polite way to refer to somebody of a specific gender. Not back then. No. Using the wrong one back then was terrible. Like, that's far above their rank. What kind of selfish person would act like that? That's not their rank. They shouldn't like let anybody talk to them about as if they were of a higher rank than they are. But also like, why are you putting them in this situation of higher rank than they actually are? That's weird to them. You know they're not that high rank, and you know they're aware of it. Do I act like this? But what was proper back then is very different from now. And I kind of like it. Because it means I don't have to worry about like them like the author describing a very inappropriate scene in a fanfic. And I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna no. I can't even skip it because it doesn't even say exactly where. It's like, I'm just gonna have to read through this and find the point where it stops. Which doesn't help because now I've read through it and now I've had to watch it, the entire thing. You can't disconnect it from it really easily by just being like, hey, look at this loser. He has to imagine it. Oh, give me a sec. I actually feel like I'm about to fall asleep. I'm not sure how much of an idea it is for me to continue streaming. I'm just rambling about Pride and Prejudice right now. I've almost streamed for an hour. Let's pull this to an hour and then let's log off because I need sleep. Because with the amount of sleep I got tonight, like it was over midnight before I fell asleep and I still have to wake up at 6. My body isn't comfortable unless it gets all 8 hours of sleep it requires, so give me a second. Okay. Sheephone? 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 Sheephone! Sheephone is over there. Sheephone is safe. I thought Sheephone might have fallen down. I'm so tired. Oh! Put me back through the roof. Okay, I just blew up a hole in the roof. And now we're gonna pretend we jumped into it. Okay, we're up here now. What to do now? What else? Not really anything. Okay, then we're gonna end the stream. Right. Yeah, we're gonna end the stream. I'm too tired. Anyway guys, hope you have a good day, night, evening, morning, whenever, wherever you're in the world, and bye! I'm going to sleep because I'm too tired. And I've stopped playing for the weekend, so bye bye!